Sit down. Get comfortable. Tonight, we're going to talk about something uncomfortable. You believe things that are false, not small things, not trivial opinions, fundamental beliefs about reality. And being smart doesn't protect you. In fact, being smart makes it worse, because intelligence isn't the same as rationality. Smart people are better at constructing elaborate justifications for the beliefs they already hold. They're better at finding evidence that supports their worldview. They're better at dismissing contradictory information. Intelligence is a tool, but it can be used to defend delusion just as easily as it can be used to find truth. Consider Isaac Newton, one of the greatest scientific minds in history, spent more time on alchemy and biblical prophecy than on physics. Nobel Prize-winning scientists have believed in telepathy, homeopathy, and conspiracy theories. Highly educated people joined Heaven's Gate, a UFO cult, and killed themselves waiting for a spaceship. Engineers and doctors are statistically overrepresented in terrorist organizations. PhDs believe the earth is flat, vaccines cause autism, and essential oils cure cancer. Intelligence is not immunity. Tonight, we're investigating why smart people believe crazy things. We're going to examine the psychology of belief, how beliefs form and why they're so hard to change. Cognitive biases, the systematic errors in thinking that affect everyone. Motivated reasoning, why we defend beliefs that serve our identity. The neuroscience of belief, what happens in the brain when beliefs are challenged. Tribalism and identity, beliefs as group markers, not truth claims. Famous examples, smart people who believed absurd things. How to escape, intellectual humility and rationality. This is Inner Pigment. This is where thinking gets dangerous. Let's dismantle your certainty. Belief versus knowledge. A belief is a mental acceptance that something is true. You believe the earth orbits the sun. 2 + 2 = 4. Your name is what you think it is. Other people have minds like yours. Some of these beliefs are justified, some are not. The problem? Most of your beliefs were not chosen consciously. They were absorbed from culture, inherited from parents, adopted from peer groups, formed by emotional experiences, and once formed, beliefs are incredibly resistant to change. Belief versus knowledge. Epistemology equals the philosophy of knowledge. The key question, what's the difference between belief and knowledge? The traditional definition, from Plato, knowledge equals justified true belief. For a belief to count as knowledge, 1. It must be true. 2. You must believe it. 3. You must have justification, good reasons/evidence. Example, belief. I believe it will rain tomorrow. Knowledge. I know it will rain tomorrow because the forecast says 100% chance and the sky is dark. But here's the problem. Gettier problem, 1963. You can have justified true belief and still not have knowledge. Example, you look at a clock, it says 3 o'clock. You believe it's 3 o'clock, and it is 3 o'clock. But the clock is broken, stopped at 3 o'clock. You just happened to look at it at exactly 3 o'clock. You had a justified true belief, but you didn't have knowledge. You got lucky. The lesson: justification is tricky. We think we have good reasons for our beliefs, but often we don't. The Illusion of Explanatory Depth Experiment by Rosenblit and Keel, 2002. Ask people, how well do you understand how a zipper works? Most say, pretty well. Then ask, explain in detail how a zipper works. People can't. They realize they don't actually understand. This is the illusion of explanatory depth. We think we understand things we don't. We confuse familiarity with understanding. You've seen zippers your whole life, so you feel like you understand them, but you don't. This applies to beliefs. People think they understand how the economy works, why crime happens, how vaccines work, what causes poverty. But if you ask them to explain in detail, they can't. They have strong opinions based on shallow understanding. Intelligence versus rationality. Intelligence equals ability to learn, reason, solve problems, think abstractly, measured by IQ tests. Rationality equals ability to think logically, avoid biases, update beliefs based on evidence, measured by decision-making, bias resistance, probabilistic reasoning. Key finding, Keith Stanovich's research. Intelligence and rationality are only weakly correlated. You can be highly intelligent, high IQ, but deeply irrational. Belief in conspiracies, superstition, poor reasoning. Why? Because intelligence helps you construct better arguments, find more evidence, defend your beliefs more persuasively, but it doesn't make you question whether your beliefs are true. This is why smart people believe crazy things. They use their intelligence in service of their biases, not in service of truth. Cognitive biases, the systematic errors in thinking. Confirmation, bias, definition, the tendency to search for, interpret, and remember information that confirms your existing beliefs. Example, you believe vaccines are dangerous. You Google vaccine dangers. You find articles, anecdotes, videos claiming vaccines cause autism, autoimmune diseases, death. You ignore peer-reviewed studies showing vaccines are safe. The fact that the vaccines cause autism claim was based on fraud. Andrew Wakefield. The millions of lives saved by vaccines. You only see what confirms your belief. Confirmation bias affects everyone. Liberals read liberal news. Conservatives read conservative news. Atheists seek arguments against religion. Believers seek arguments for it. You remember times you were right. You forget times you were wrong. The result? Your beliefs become more entrenched, even if they're false. Motivated reasoning. Definition. The tendency to reason in ways that justify the conclusions you want to reach. You don't reason to find truth. You reason to defend beliefs that serve your identity, emotions, or goals. Classic study. Lord, Ross, and Lepper, 1979. Researchers showed people mixed evidence about the death penalty. Some studies showed it deters crime. Some studies showed it doesn't. Question: will people update their beliefs based on evidence? Result: pro-death penalty people accepted the studies showing deterrence, dismissed the studies showing no effect. Anti-death penalty people accepted the studies showing no effect, dismissed the studies showing deterrence. Both groups became more confident in their original position after seeing the same evidence. This is motivated reasoning. You don't evaluate evidence objectively. You evaluate it based on whether it supports your side. The backfire effect definition. When confronted with evidence that contradicts your beliefs, you double down instead of updating. Example: you believe climate change is a hoax. Someone shows you NASA data, peer-reviewed studies, melting ice caps. Your response: that's fake data. Scientists are lying for grant money. It's a globalist conspiracy. Your belief becomes stronger, not weaker. Why? Because challenging your belief feels like an attack on your identity. If you've built your identity around climate skepticism, admitting you're wrong means admitting you've been a fool. Easier to defend the belief than to face that. Dunning-Kruger effect definition. The less you know about a topic, the more confident you are. Why? Because you don't know enough to realize what you don't know. Classic study. Kruger and Dunning, 1999. People took tests on logic, grammar, humor, then they estimated how well they did. Result? Bottom 25% of performers estimated they were in the 60th percentile. Top 25% slightly underestimated themselves. The incompetent are confident. The competent are humble. Why smart people fall for this? Smart people are often competent in one domain, for example, engineering. They assume this makes them competent in all domains, for example, virology, economics, geopolitics. So, an engineer becomes confident about vaccine science, despite having no training in immunology. Availability heuristic. Definition. You judge the likelihood of events based on how easily examples come to mind. Example? Question. What kills more people? Shark attacks or falling coconuts? Most people guess sharks. Reality. Coconuts kill 150 people per year. Sharks kill approximately 5. Why the error? Shark attacks are dramatic. They're on the news. They're memorable. Coconut deaths are boring. You never hear about them. So your brain overestimates the frequency of dramatic, memorable events and underestimates boring, common ones. This leads to fear of terrorism, rare, over heart disease, common. Fear of plane crashes, rare, over car crashes, common. Overestimating crime rates because media focuses on crime. Fundamental attribution, error, definition. When others fail, you blame their character. When you fail, you blame the situation. Example, someone cuts you off in traffic. What an asshole. You cut someone off. I was in a hurry. I didn't see them. I'm stressed. Why? You have access to your internal state, your reasons, your stress. You don't have access to theirs. So you assume their behavior reflects their character. This creates political polarization. They're evil versus we have good reasons. Inability to empathize. Overconfidence in your own moral superiority. Anchoring bias definition. The first number you hear influences your judgment, even if it's irrelevant. Classic study. Tversky and Kahneman. Participants spin a wheel, rigged to land on 10 or 65. Then they're asked, what percentage of African countries are in the UN? Result. Wheel landed on 10. Average guess equals 25%. Wheel landed on 65. Average guess equals 45%. The wheel number, completely random, anchored their estimate. This affects negotiations. First offer anchors the entire negotiation. Pricing. Seeing a $1,000 item makes a $500 item seem cheap. Medical diagnoses. First hypothesis biases subsequent thinking. Identity and tribalism. Beliefs as group markers. Beliefs as identity. Most beliefs are not about truth, they're about identity. Your beliefs signal which tribe you belong to, your social status, your values. Examples, political beliefs, not about policy analysis, about tribal membership. I'm a Democrat equals I'm part of the educated, compassionate, progressive tribe. I'm a Republican equals I'm part of the practical, traditional, patriotic tribe. Religious beliefs, not about theology, about community and belonging. Most religious people haven't deeply studied theology. They inherited the religion of their parents and community. Conspiracy theories, not about evidence, about feeling special. I know the truth that the masses don't see equals elevated status. The social cost of changing your mind. Why people don't update their beliefs? It's socially costly. If you're a conservative and you change your mind about climate change, your friends might reject you. If you're a liberal and you change your mind about gun control, your community might ostracize you. Belief change equals social risk. It's easier to defend the belief, dismiss contradictory evidence, attack the messenger, than to risk losing your tribe. Epistemic bubbles and echo chambers. Epistemic bubble. You only hear views from one side because of limited exposure. Echo chamber. You only hear views from one side, and dissenting views are actively discredited. Social media creates both. Algorithms show you content you already agree with. Engagement. You follow people who think like you. Dissenting voices are blocked, muted, or called misinformation. Result: your beliefs are never challenged. They're only reinforced. You think you're informed, you're just insulated. The smart person trap. Smart people are better at constructing sophisticated rationalizations, finding evidence, cherry-picking studies, anecdotes, dismissing criticism, attacking methodology, questioning motives. This makes them more resistant to changing their minds, not less. Example: flat earthers. Many flat earthers are intelligent. They conduct experiments. Flawed, but they think they're scientific. They build elaborate models. They have answers for every objection. Their intelligence doesn't lead them to truth. It leads them deeper into delusion. The neuroscience of belief. Cognitive dissonance. Leon Festinger's theory, 1957. When you hold two contradictory beliefs, or when your beliefs contradict your behavior, you experience psychological discomfort, dissonance. To reduce dissonance, you 1. Change your belief, rare. 2. Change your behavior, rare. 3. Rationalize, common. Classic study. Festinger and Carl Smith, 1959. Participants do a boring task. Then they're paid either $1 or $20 to tell the next participant the task was fun, who later reported the task was actually fun. The $1 group. Why? The $20 group. I lied for money. Makes sense. The $1 group. I lied for $1. That doesn't make sense, unless the task really was fun. They changed their belief to match their behavior. This explains why people defend bad decisions. Admitting error equals dissonance. Why cult members double down after prophecies fail. Why abused partners defend their abusers. The brain defending beliefs. Brain imaging studies, fMRI. When people are presented with evidence contradicting their political beliefs, the brain activates amygdala, fear/threat response, insula, disgust, default mode network, self-referential thinking. The brain doesn't activate prefrontal cortex, logical reasoning. Translation: challenging your beliefs activates the same brain regions as physical threat. Your brain treats contradictory evidence as an attack. Belief as memory. Beliefs are stored as memories. Memories are reconstructed each time you recall them, and each reconstruction can alter the memory. This means you remember your past beliefs as more coherent than they were. You remember being more right than you were. You forget times you changed your mind. Result: you feel consistent, even though your beliefs have shifted constantly. Famous examples: smart people, crazy beliefs. Isaac Newton, 1643 to 1727. One of the greatest scientific minds in history. Invented calculus, discovered laws of motion and gravity, revolutionized physics. But Newton also spent decades on alchemy, trying to turn lead into gold, wrote millions of words on biblical prophecy, believed he could calculate the date of the apocalypse, 2060, thought the universe was structured according to the proportions of Solomon's temple. Newton was brilliant, But he also believed absurd things. Linus Pauling, 1901 to 1994, Nobel Prize-winning chemist. But in his later years, he became obsessed with megadoses of vitamin C, claimed it cured everything from colds to cancer. Despite no evidence, he took 18,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily. He published books promoting it. Scientific community. This doesn't work. The studies don't support it. Pauling ignored them, doubled down. He died of cancer, despite his vitamin C regimen. Brian Josephson, 1940 to the present, Nobel Prize in Physics, 1973. But he also believes telepathy is real, homeopathy works. Cold fusion is possible. He's advocated for these ideas publicly, despite scientific consensus against them. Intelligence doesn't prevent belief in pseudoscience, engineers and terrorism. Statistically, engineers are overrepresented in terrorist organizations. Study by Gambetta and Hertog, 2009. Engineers make up approximately 44% of Islamic extremists in sample, despite being approximately 10% of college-educated population. Why? Theories. Engineers think in binary, right/wrong, true/false, implies susceptible to ideological certainty. Engineers have lower exposure to humanities/social sciences, implies less exposure to ambiguity, pluralism. Engineers often frustrated by lack of meritocracy in their home countries implies turn to radical ideologies. Point. Technical intelligence doesn't prevent radicalization. It might even facilitate it. Heaven's Gate, 1997. A UFO cult. Members believed Earth was about to be recycled. A spaceship was following Comet Hale-Bopp. If they killed themselves, they'd ascend to the spaceship. 39 members committed mass suicide. Who were they? Educated? Many had college degrees, technically skilled. They ran a successful web design business. Intelligent. But they believed they'd be beamed up to a spaceship. Flat earthers. Many flat earthers are not stupid. Some have engineering backgrounds, some conduct experiments, but they interpret all evidence through their belief. Ships disappear over the horizon. Perspective. Satellite images of Earth. CGI. NASA lies. Can't see the curve? We're not high enough. Every piece of contradictory evidence is explained away. This is motivated reasoning at its finest. How to escape. Intellectual humility and rationality. Recognize your biases. Step 1. Accept that you have biases. You're not special. You're not immune. Step 2. Learn the biases. Study confirmation bias, motivated reasoning, Dunning-Kruger, etc. Step 3. Actively look for them in yourself. When you feel certain, ask, am I experiencing confirmation bias? Steel manning, not straw manning. Straw manning. Misrepresent your opponent's position to make it easy to attack. Steel manning. Represent your opponent's position in its strongest, most charitable form. Why? If you can defeat the strongest version of an argument, you've actually tested your belief. If you only defeat weak versions, you're just performing for your tribe. Seek disconfirming evidence. Most people seek confirming evidence. Do the opposite. If you believe X, actively search for why X is wrong. Best arguments against X? X debunked. Read the other side's strongest arguments. If your belief survives, great. If it doesn't, you learned something. Admit when you don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know. I'm not sure. I need to think about that. Most beliefs are held with unjustified confidence. Intellectual humility equals recognizing the limits of your knowledge. Update your beliefs. based on evidence. Bayesian reasoning. Start with a prior, initial belief. Update based on new evidence. Example. Prior. I think vaccines are safe. 70% confidence. Evidence. Study showing rare side effect. Update. I still think vaccines are safe, but I'm now 65% confident. This is rational belief updating. Most people don't do this. They either ignore contradictory evidence, dismiss it entirely, double down, practice falsifiability. Karl Popper's criterion: a belief is scientific if it's falsifiable, if there's a possible observation that could prove it wrong. Example. Falsifiable. All swans are white. Finding one black swan falsifies this. Not falsifiable. God works in mysterious ways. No possible evidence can contradict this. Ask yourself, what evidence would change my mind? If the answer is nothing, your belief is not rational. It's dogma. Cost-benefit analysis of beliefs. Some beliefs are costly to be wrong about. Believing vaccines don't work leads to your child dies of measles. Believing climate change is a hoax leads to civilization collapses. Believing seatbelts are unnecessary implies you die in a car crash. For high-cost beliefs, demand high-quality evidence. For low-cost beliefs, favorite color, music taste, certainty is fine. Humility in the face of complexity. The world is complicated. Most issues, economics, politics, social policy, don't have simple answers. Certainty is usually a sign of ignorance, not knowledge. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So that's why smart people believe crazy things. Intelligence is not rationality. Intelligence is a tool. It can be used to find truth or to defend delusion. And most people use their intelligence to defend delusion because confirmation bias feels good. Motivated reasoning protects your identity. Admitting error is socially costly. Your brain treats contradictory evidence as a threat. The uncomfortable truth: you believe things that are false. Right now, about politics, about health, about reality. You don't know which beliefs are false, but statistically, some of them are. So what do? You practice intellectual humility. You seek disconfirming evidence. You update your beliefs based on new information. You admit when you don't know. This is rationality, not intelligence, not being right all the time, but being willing to be wrong and learning when you are. Because here's the final truth. The smartest person in the room is the one who knows they don't know everything. This has been Inner Pigment. Thanks for questioning your certainty with me tonight. If you want to go deeper, cognitive biases, the psychology of conspiracy theories, how to think rationally, let me know. Stay curious, stay humble, and remember, you're wrong about something. You just don't know what yet.